What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host, Travis Mangone, back with two of our guys on the Run Pure Sports team. You know them as Titletown. You know them as JT Hayes. They help out with a ton of the MLB content over here. We'll kick it off with my buddy over here, Titletown first. How's it going over there, man?
Good. How are you, Mangone? Another great slate yesterday. Had someone take down a qualifier on Draftkings, which was awesome. Tons of other great screenshots. Big T put out some good plays. We were both on Kelly. We smashed. So I'm liking today's slate a lot. We'll talk about it, dive in, and hopefully continue a hot streak.
Yeah, shout out to Davey G. He took down a qualifier. We had some other people in chat. Slapmo had a nice little hit. I think he played $15 and won like $700 on it. We had a couple other guys win $6K. I think it was the Griff. Another guy won $3K. So we had a pretty good night for our members. So hopefully, if you guys are not Run Pure Sports members, you head on over here and you jump on in and check out the content we have. We got the playbook, the core plays, the tiers, awesome stuff. And JT, you're part of all those things. So how's it going over there? Let's bring you in and tell us how you're doing today.
Yeah, I'm doing good. It was a good night for the members last night. Davey G getting to that virtual final this year. So congrats to him. Pretty good lineup. I looked at that contest, the top of that lineup, and he beat out a lot of the multi-max entry guys that are putting 400, 500, 600 lineups through different contests every night. So really big win for him running pure last night, and excited to see that for some more of you guys tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm certainly excited. And I want to keep building up the momentum. I want to ship something here tonight, or I want to get someone in the YouTube chat to ship something. So that's the plan here. Excited to be here with you guys. If you could hit that like on the video, we'd appreciate it. We'll also be giving out a t-shirt here if we hit a certain number of likes. We'll pick the number here at some point. But we got to see how many people we can get in here, and we'll make a decision on the number about halfway through the show. We'll do that. So, that's the current plan right now. Let's dive in, though. Let's kind of talk about this slate, and let's head on over to you first, Titletown. We had some really, really bad pitching yesterday, and I mean really bad. But we got the aces on the mound tonight, so we have decisions to make, and it should be a tough one. Break this down for us at the top.
Yeah, so I'm Garrett Cole by a lot at top. Got to make a stand, and Garrett Cole is the best pitcher in baseball against the Orioles, who I always love picking on. Price isn't too outrageous. You can still get bats on both sides, good value options. So I'm going to plug in Cole, take the safety. I think he's going to score the most. And then on Draftkings is actually we won't get there yet, but my favorite route right now is not pairing him with DeGrom or Morton. I think you can get some savings down below, which we'll talk about a little bit. But I would definitely rank DeGrom over Morton on FanDuel. On Draftkings, I think the price is too outrageous for DeGrom, so I'd rather side with Morton. Atlanta's just not someone I like targeting against too much, so I'm going to have a lot more exposure up at Cole on both sites and not play as much DeGrom and Morton. But on Draftkings, I would have a little more Morton than DeGrom due to price, but on FanDuel, I would have more DeGrom because it's easier to build out lineups. But it's Cole for me up top.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Garrett Cole up top, right? He gets that awful Orioles lineup. I will say I dug into the numbers a little bit, and there's not as much strikeouts as you'd think there. So I do think Cole is safe. What do you think about a guy like DeGrom versus Cole, JT? I see you have them both in the playbook as your 1 and 2, and we get a terrible Red Sox offense. I mean, I've been playing them, and I don't think they're terrible, but as of right now, they are really, really struggling. So what do you think in tournaments? How would you approach those two pitchers?
Yeah, well, in tournaments, I think from what I'm seeing earlier was that DeGrom was going to capture more of the ownership. And I like DeGrom. DeGrom is obviously 2 years in a row the Cy Young. I just think Cole has a little better matchup. You get a little bit better savings with him. That 12K this early in the season, I won't have zero DeGrom, but Cole is my overall number one in terms of who I'm going to play. I think, DraftKings, we'll talk about some of these cheap lineups and cheap one-offs later on. And DraftKings, it's pretty, I don't want to say easy, but it is feasible to play DeGrom and Cole in the same lineup. I'll do that some. I'm on maybe 10%, just where I want to stack up, one side of those cheaper games. But for me, it's Cole and DeGrom, and Morton falls somewhere a bit below that. In fact, I don't know that I'll have any Morton on DraftKings for a couple of reasons. One, this is a Braves team that comes home. It's a Braves team that normally doesn't strike out as much. They struck out quite a bit in that series in Tampa Bay. I don't know if that's going to continue. And then the second reason is the way early on that Kevin Cash is managing his pitching staff. That 10-8 price, I want a guy who I think can go 7-8 innings, and I don't know if he's going to get there tonight, and that's why I'm very, very much higher on Cole DeGrom.
Yeah, like I said, I think we're all in agreement. I think we're all team Garrett Cole. I think we'd rather be playing him if we were forced to pick one guy or the other. I think we're all in agreement there on that one. Let's move on and let's talk about some of these other guys down here at pitcher. Let's kind of get into the mid-tier a bit. And I think we can talk about this a lot. We got the two guys who are showcasing everything, in my opinion. I think it's Paddock and Heaney are the ones that a lot of people will talk about. So let me go to you, Titletown. Are those the two guys you're keying in on? And who are some other guys in that range that you would look at?
Yep, those two are definitely my favorites. I have a slight lean on Heaney. He's just, the 500 goes a little bit. And Seattle's always the team I want to target all year. So I like Heaney. I prefer him slightly, but I mean, it's close. Paddock, you always want to pick on the Giants as well. He has good K upside. I like those two a lot more. And then some other guys in that range I'll mention. Rich Hill, I think he's good against St. Louis. Should get the win. He's safe. Offers $1,000 savings from the other two. So I like him. And then the last name I'll throw out that I like a little bit is Eovaldi. 6.8 against the Mets. Yeah, the Mets, their line's moving up a little bit. They are getting a little steam. So I'd go light on this, but I don't think Eovaldi's going to get too much ownership since he falls in a weird range. And for tournaments, I wouldn't mind taking a couple stands on him, but definitely Heaney and Paddock up top for me with Rich Hill below.
Yeah, I would agree on Heaney and Paddock. I'll admit, I'm doing the core plays over here for cash, and I'm going back and forth on two of these guys. So, JT, let's see if you, can give me a sales pitch on either of these guys or any of the viewers of which way that they should be going.
Yeah, I think for me, it's Heaney. I mentioned in the playbook that Cole Heaney was going to be a pairing that I used quite a bit of, and it just the matchup. Really, this whole lineup for the most part, 6 of the 9 guys on Seattle, I'm not worried about it. Last year it was a little different. You had Tom Murphy in there, who was a really good hitter against lefties. Austin Nola, who got scratched last night, is a pretty good hitter against lefties. But other than that, you got Seager, of course, who hits lefties okay. But really, other than that, there's a lot of strikeouts there. The only reason why I didn't love Sandoval yesterday was because it was his first start of the season. And, historically, he's been a mediocre pitcher. I didn't think he was justified it. I think it was 40% that he was projected on DK. But tonight, with Heaney, his second start, I think this is just such a great matchup for him. I think Paddock is going to get some ownership. And when you have Heaney and Paddock there, the third guy in that range that I'm interested in a little bit is Brandon Woodruff. And this Pirates team is striking out 24%. I don't think a lot of people will play him at all. I happen to think this Pirates team has a little more talent than most people give them credit for. They haven't really shown it all that much early this year. That's the third guy. And like Titletown said, I think Eovaldi makes sense, maybe 5 to 10%. Although one of the things we were talking about before the show, the Mets finally put out a lineup that has some science behind it. And they've got, I think it's 6 lefties in that lineup and 4 of the first 5. So before the show, I was leaning Eovaldi. I don't know how much I'll have in him because I like Nemo at the top. I put him in the playbook. After him, you've got McNeil batting second today. That's a pretty good thing. And I'll save the rest of it from when we talk about stacks. But that lineup is really, really pushing me towards looking at the Mets a little bit more.
That certainly makes some sense. Titletown, let me throw something to you. Let me just throw this idea out there. Now, GPPs, you're trying to win all the money, right? And of course, baseball can be random. I posted a screenshot the other day on my Twitter account. It was 5 baseball hitters who were the top hit players of the day. And they were all just the most random baseball players. So random things can happen. How about in tournaments? Okay, so Matt Boyd or Danny Duffy. We know the Tigers are going to get ownership. We know the Royals are going to get ownership. Not only that, you're going to be leveraging on all those guys by taking one of those pitchers. And listen, I've seen Danny Duffy and I've seen Matt Boyd have high ceiling games. So is that something you can do in tournaments? Is it worth it, or do you think it's just too risky and something you should not be doing on this?
I like Matthew Boyd actually for tournaments. He's actually a good lefty. He's had a pretty good track record. So I actually believe in his stuff. So at no ownership, really, if you're thinking like 10% at 8,400, I definitely would take some shots on Matt Boyd. I can't get behind Danny Duffy. I like the Tigers bats. So I'd stay away from that side. But I think Matt Boyd is a good play. And if you want to win the money, I like that call a lot.
Yeah, personally for me, like if I had to pick either Duffy or Boyd to try and make this move on in tournaments, I think it'd be him. It'd be Matt Boyd. That would be the guy I would do it with. JT, you're a tournament guy too. I haven't looked at your playbook completely. Is that something maybe you talked about? Like I said, we're trying to win all that money. We're trying to, win the prize pools up top that are top heavy. So I'm trying to think of ways to be different.
Yeah, I agree with Titletown, right? The guy I would look at ordinarily would be Boyd. Tonight, with the other pitching options, if it was a thinner pitching slate, certainly. If it was last night, yes. Last night, I would be very interested in Matthew Boyd. I'd be interested in Danny Duffy. The thing with Boyd is he is good. He will strike guys out. He just too often gives up 2 or 3 home runs along with that. And he walks guys when he's not on. And so he puts guys on bases. He gives up the long ball in addition to those strikeouts. This Royals team, their pricing just is too tempting for me to really think about Boyd as much as I like the other pitchers on the slate. Because at Boyd, he's in, and again, you're right. I guess it does make a good tournament play when you talk about it that way. But I'd rather get up a little bit more to get up to a Cole, or I'd like to go down a little bit more to get down to Heaney or Paddock or even Woodruff than play him tonight. But yeah, if you want to sprinkle in 10% of either one of those guys, to be honest, and take a shot, it's not like we're talking about the Dodgers and the Yankees here. We're still talking about the Royals and the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I don't know the exact run totals right now, but I just see the Royals and Mets have similar run totals, right? And Eovaldi was talked about, so I just wanted to mention it. So, and maybe there's like some updates on it that I'm not seeing, and it could be a bigger difference, but it's baseball. Anything can happen. Let's talk about some of the cheaper options. And again, I don't think we're really living in this range too much. I know I'm certainly not, but hey, let's talk about it because some people, they might like some guys in this range. So I don't know where to go. I'll just throw it to you, Titletown. If you got to play anyone here, who are you playing?
Yeah, if you got to play one, it's Musgrove. He's the only one that I have somewhat of interest in. Milwaukee struggled recently, but I do think Milwaukee's going to get right before. I don't see them keep going down. I don't think Yelich continues to go cold. So this lineup does have some pop. I don't think today's the day where you have to punt pitching. You can find enough bats for cheap and get Cole. So if you do go down there for a couple lineups, Musgrove, and that's it. I'm not going to touch Woj. I'm not going to touch Cueto, but it's not my favorite range either. I'll be sticking to the top and mid-range.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's really, really bad down here, JT. I don't know how often you go dumpster diving, but maybe you can help us out in dumpster dive here and figure this thing out because it is rough down here. Any guys you like in the cheap range?
Yeah, I mean, we agree again. It's going to be Musgrove, and it's going to be Musgrove primarily because of the Brewers striking out 26%. And then one of the things I look at is, changes in salary. And I think Musgrove's salary went down $1,500-$1,600 game to game. Doesn't always mean everything, but it just, that price for him is way too cheap for a matchup at home, even against a dangerous offense. I'm not going to go 30-40% Musgrove. I might have 10 or 15. But where you want to spend up and get, and we'll talk about it, if you wanted to get a full stack of the Yankees, which is really, really expensive tonight, and you wanted to pair them with someone other than Detroit or Kansas City, then you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to go to Musgrove. There were people earlier talking a little bit about Woj from Baltimore. Mid-season, I'd say, yeah, not a bad idea at that price, take a shot on it. The thing is, I'm not sure if he's going to be an opener or if he's going to pitch 3 or 4 innings or what he's going to do. And I just, with the quality of pitching tonight, I just don't see the need to take that risk. So I won't be doing it.
Yep, I agree with you there. A couple final thoughts before we move on to the hitters. Titletown, give 4 guys in cash games that you would be looking to play at the pitcher position. If you could only take 4 today, who would they be?
So Garrett Cole for sure, and then we'll go Heaney, Paddock, and then those are the 3 for sure, and then I'll say DeGrom.
All right, JT, I'll head over to you. You're building a player pool, right? You're multi-entering, 150 lineups. Give me 5 guys you're putting in the pool. No doubt they're going to make it. You're going to, try to be overweight or at least with the field on.
Overweight or at least with the field is going to be Cole, Heaney, Paddock, and I'll probably be under on DeGrom. I'm not going to have 30% DeGrom. I might have 20% DeGrom just because, like I said, it's kind of easy to pair him with Cole where I want to do that. Other than that, if I don't want to play Detroit, Kansas City, and I don't want to have 50% of either one of those teams, then his 12K makes it a little bit difficult. There's some other teams that are pretty inexpensive. I think Minnesota's too cheap for where they're at. We'll get that out later. And then I'll round it out with some Musgrove, 10-15% Musgrove. Cueto, I think we're seeing it again this year with Kapler, right? Last year, opening day, he took out Aaron Nola after like 70 pitches. The way he manages that pitching staff, there was some thought last night, and I bought into it that, well, Samardzij's a veteran. We can expect that Samardzij's going to get full run, and some of that probably had to do with the fact that he was ineffective. But, Kapler's it's almost like watching Dave Roberts' first couple of years all over again. 4th, 5th inning, he may be like, oh, I'd rather match some lefty up with Hosmer. I just don't know how long Cueto's going to go. It's not worth the risk.
Yep. Listen, I think that makes a ton of sense. Overall, that's kind of the pitching breakdown here. We got the Sports Keg. They're in the chat saying what's up. If you guys don't know, they're part of our Run Pure Bets crew. If you haven't checked it out yet, go over to Run Pure Bets. We have some daily free picks going on over there. I know Big T has some bets going on right now that he put for the early slate. So, you can't bet on those now, but there's more plays in there that you can bet tonight. And it's going to be free until August 1st. That is our Run Pure Bets. That's our betting product. So check that out over there, guys. Go sign up, subscribe for the email so you can get the alerts when we, go live with the, when you have to pay. And you might be able to get a little bit of discount there. Not certain, but go check it out so you can find out so you don't miss out on that. We also got another guy in chat saying, more likes. That's David Griffin. That might be the Griff, if that's my guess, who had a nice little day. And he's trying to get some swag for the people. So keep hitting those likes, and we'll decide in 12 minutes what the number of likes is going to be. But 162 people watching Titletown and only 54 likes. There's got to be a problem with that, right? That's only around like 33%.
Yeah, that doesn't add up to me. We got to smash that like button, send out some gear. It's nice gear, so hit that like button, give us some support. We're giving out winners.
Yeah, and JT, you can confirm. Did you see the picture Big T posted at the FedEx place today?
I'm gonna have to take a look at that. I know that he had some family members helping him out, so it was a big project in the Big T household.
Yeah, the Niehaus household had. I'm sure the kids were helping, jam the clothes in to send out to everyone so we can get all of our gear. He talked about having the wife maybe do it, and Tony never ended up having the wife do it. He decided to just do it himself. Big T, he was at FedEx today and he sent them out. So if you have a t-shirt, yours is probably on the way, and mine is probably on the way too. Hopefully it doesn't get lost or anything like that, or someone doesn't take it from the porch. But listen, let's move on. Let's talk about the hitters, and we're going to go game by game and kind of break this thing down. First game up, we got the Brewers, we got the Pirates. What do you want to do with this game, Titletown? How are you approaching this from a hitter's perspective?
Yeah, so I don't have too much interest here. We talked about Musgrove a little bit, but that's only if you really need it. If I have anyone, it's going to be the Brewers. I'm going to go right back to Yelich here on Morrison. Those are the 3 that are my favorites. I know Yelich is cold. It's going to keep his ownership down. And it's Christian Yelich. He's going to get right soon. So I'll definitely be right back on him. And then here is just a beast. Homered yesterday. That's a very good mini stack. And then Logan Morrison on FanDuel's 2,100 batting cleanup. I like that for sure on the road. He makes your lineup work. So if you're landing that or finding yourself needing a low salary bat, I think Logan Morrison fits well. Other than that, I don't have too much interest in the bottom of the lineup or Sogard up top. And then I don't have interest in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, listen, this is a tough hitter's park, obviously. JT, do you think this is a good contrarian route to go in tournaments, or is this an offense that you're just gonna load up on?
No, I'm not going to have a lot of either of these teams. I think the pitching in this matchup is good enough, and I think that both Woodruff and Musgrove, if they can control the running game and keep guys off the bases, are going to get to go 5-6 innings. So there are other spots that are much more appealing to me. One guy it's kind of wacky, I will talk about as I was looking into things today, that I put him in the playbook just a little bit before I saw the Kansas City Detroit lineups, was Phillip Evans. He's hitting second for Pittsburgh. I'm not big on Pittsburgh at all today, but through the first week of the season, he's got an 86% hard hit rate. And I actually had him in some lineups last night. And at 2-1 last night, he got 9 or 10, which was fine. And he's 2-2 today. So if you want to stay away from Detroit or Kansas City, which in cash, I don't think you should, but if you wanted to do that, this is a guy who's been hitting the ball pretty well. It's worth taking a shot on. I'll have some maybe 3 to 5% of him in tournaments.
Yeah, listen, totally get it. But I think everyone's going to be playing this next game we're going to talk about. You just mentioned them. You mentioned Detroit. You mentioned Kansas City. And I know Titletown from talking pre-show. I know he's all over this game. He's going to want to load up on it. Talk to me, Titletown. What are we doing with this game? Who do you like?
Yeah, so we'll start on FanDuel because FanDuel and Draftkings are different, and I like different teams on both sites. So FanDuel, the Tigers are just way too cheap. You can find any Tiger in the top of the order and fit them in your lineup and be able to stack a top team. So I'm going to have a bunch of them. I'm interested in pretty much the top 5. I like Crone. I like Scope. I like Goodrum, Candelario. So they're just too cheap for the spot they're in. Good hitters park. It's going to be nice out. So I'll have a bunch of them on FanDuel. And then going to DraftKings, I think the Royals are just too cheap. Franco in the 4-hole at 2K. I mean, that's just a lock. It's so easy to get. Makes your lineup that affords you Cole. Soler at 3,600. He has all the pop in the world, batting 2 against the Tigers. So I like that as well against the lefty. Sal Perez at catcher, 2,600. Those are my 3 favorite in cash games. You can get Witt or Mondesi, but on both sites, Tigers on FanDuel and the Royals on DraftKings should come in pretty chalky due to price and good implied totals.
Yeah, they definitely should. Definitely makes a ton of sense. JT, I know you're talking about, loading up on some of these bats in tournaments because you like some of the value. So talk about this game and the batters you like the most.
Yeah, the Royals price on DraftKings is just, funny. You can get 3, 4, 5, 6 for 9.6K. So if you're sitting out there and you're like, hey, I don't really trust Heaney, I don't like any of those other guys, and you want to get Cole and DeGrom, you can stack Kansas City pretty easily. And if you take one of Detroit, then you can load up on 2 to 3 5K guys in that same lineup. So it's pretty ridiculous. Again, I'm going to have maybe 15, 20%. I do think that, you've got a bare minimum Franco on DK at 2.0. Mondesi, I know, hasn't done anything, but 3.3 for a guy that I think he eclipsed 5K for most of last year. This is a guy that's going to turn it around. Whit Merrifield lives off of Detroit pitching. He's just, amazing against his team. And, you could take a shot if you wanted to in a couple of lineups on a guy like Ryan McBroom, who has a lot of power. The problem with him is he's going to get swapped out once they bring in a right-handed batter. I think you're going to see Ryan O'Hearn. That's the way they're going to handle that first base position. So I wouldn't play all that much of him. And Salvador Perez at 2.6. He's been hitting the ball hard. He's got a home run. He's maybe a couple of homers already. I know he had an off day yesterday, but catcher to me seems kind of weak today. So I could pay 2.6 for a Salvador Perez, even if I didn't want to go Cole DeGrom. If I wanted to go with my Cole Heaney, then I can stack the Yankees. I could do a 4 stack of the Yankees. I can take the Dodgers. I can put them with Minnesota. It just allows you to do so much, even if you're not stacking. If you want to look at a one-off from Kansas City, or if you want to go the other side, Jonathan Scope, if you want to go to Crone, even looking at Detroit's catcher, Grayson Griner, is a guy that hits left-handed pitching very well. He hit pretty well in the second half of last year. And he's a guy that I put in the playbook that, don't overlook, because you've got Sanchez at 5'6", and you could literally save $3,000 by going down to either one of these guys.
I'm a little confused there. Titletown, is JT related to Grayson Griner or something? I've never heard someone talk that nicely about Grayson Griner in my life. What do you think in Titletown?
Well, I'm hoping he makes him a lot of money today, because that's, I guess at catcher, it doesn't matter who. Just whoever's a part of your stacks, or if Griner's your guy, got RPS. Take notes. Hopefully, Griner's the guy to win us all the money, not the college basketball girl player, Brittany Griner. That's the only name I know for Griner, but hope he does it for you, JT.
Yeah, I will say the last time I did roster Brittany Griner, I remember it did not go well. So maybe I'll have to get on some Grayson Griner for some redemption here. And I mean, it's a good point though, JT. Like when you're playing these catchers, right? We talked about how Salvador Perez is going to be super chalky and a really good option. But if you're going to play a Tiger stack, why not just, pivot over to a guy like Grayson Griner in the same game? I mean, he is going to be low owned, and we see these catchers like yesterday. It was Max Stassi. He hit a bomb. So JT, maybe you're onto something here. Titletown, let me go back to you. I want to ask you a cash game question. Give me, 3 guys in this game. If you had to play cash games on FanDuel and Draftkings, if you had to play 3 guys in your lineup from this game, who would the 3 be?
Well, the answer, so on Draftkings, I'll go Perez, Franco, and Soler. And then on FanDuel, I would say Scope, Candelario, Goodrum because of position eligibility, but I like Crone a lot as well.
All right, JT, give me in tournament your 3 favorite bats, and I'll let you redeem yourself. I don't know if Grayson Griner is going to be one of the top 3 bats, but we'll have to see. Who are your 3 favorite bats in this game?
No, it's Grayson's not one of the top 3, but I will, when he hits a home run later, I'm going to be excited to show you what's going on. But I think here I'd go Witt, I'd go Sal, and then I'm torn between Scope or Crone. I mean Crone is going to come out of this. So I'll go CJ Crone.
All righty, let's head on over to the next game. We will go over to the Dodgers. We'll go to the Astros, and we got to talk about last night. JT, you were talking pre-show. Let's go back to you on this one. This has to be the must-watch game, right? Dodgers, Astros, all the throwing at each other. Everyone's riled up. It seems like a fun game to watch. Talk about last night's antics.
Yeah, this was a game. This was a game that I put on last night and said I have to take a look at this, and it did. It took about a good 6-7 innings to get into the good stuff. I don't think it's going to take that long tonight. So there was, I think one of the ESPN morning shows was talking about, and Joe Kelly just got suspended for 8 games, which he'll appeal, and we'll see what happens. But how it was awful. He was throwing at these guys. It's hard to throw a baseball in the strike zone, and it's hard to do so when you throw 97 miles an hour. And he threw 6 or 7 pitches and missed by about 6 inches. He's not trying to hit the guy. He's trying to send a message. I mean, that was my takeaway from it. And he was having a little fun with it, and he pissed off the Astros. And I thought the Astros were going to be motivated last night. I think they're going to be pretty motivated tonight because even Dusty Baker after the game was pretty hot about it, and he usually doesn't get that way. But also, if you haven't seen it, go to rotoware.com because they quickly capitalized, and they've got a lovely shirt with Joe Kelly's glasses. It's a blue shirt, nice swing bitch, which is what he said to Carlos Correa after he struck him out on a 3-2 slider. So this game, I think, the Astros are starting a guy, Javier. He's a highly touted prospect. Look, if he doesn't hit Bellinger or Muncy in the ass, I don't know if they'll go after Betts because he wasn't there last year, and then get tossed out of this game, then if there was a prop on that, I'd put some money down on it.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Javier, I know he's not going to go too long. I would wait for the first time around. I'd probably do my first time around, make him at least feel at ease, and then peg him the next time. That's what I would do if I was him. Titletown, give your thoughts on that game. I don't know if you saw too much of it, but what did you think of that game last night?
Oh, yeah, I saw it. I mean, it was crazy. You knew eventually the Astros were going to run into a contender that wasn't happy with how they cheated. It's garbage. Teams aren't going to like that, and they're going to let them know. I disagree a little bit with JT. I think some of those were pretty intentional, or at least looked like it from how he reacted after. But either way, he got suspended. He'll appeal it. I'm not sure how many games he'll get knocked off, but it's going to be a fun game today for sure. Definitely a game you want to tune in. Regardless of, I won't have much DFS action on it. I'm just going to watch it, just enjoy it. But it will go right in the DFS side. I like the Dodgers a little more. I just love their lineup. I always will love playing the Dodgers. They can roll it over so fast. Every hitter is a problem. So, of course, I like the main guys, but I would like going down a little bit and going like the Chris Taylor, Jack, and Beatty down there too. That no one's going to play 6, 7, 8. So for tournaments, I like that a lot. But I won't have in cash games. I'm not interested. Not too much interest in the Astros either. I'll watch the game and enjoy it.
Yep, that's what it feels like for me. What do you think here, JT? How are you approaching this game in tournaments?
Yeah, this isn't my favorite game by any means. But if I'm going to have some, I'm definitely going to take a few shots on the Astros, on the Dodgers as a stack. And then I will have maybe 5 lineups out of 150 on the Astros, just because when they come in at under 5%, it's a tournament, it's a tournament shot. And with 150, I'm willing to take that chance.
Yep, I know one guy who will be rostering the Dodgers tonight. It will be our producer, the captain, Ryan. He will be all over the Dodgers. He loves his Dodgers, and he will definitely be all over it tonight. Let's head on over and talk about the next game. We got the Red Sox. We got the Mets. We got a 7.5 implied total, obviously, because we got the Grom on the mound. Titletown, let's go over to you. How are you approaching these offenses? Are you going to play the Boston Red Sox? Are they going to just totally troll us and hit a ton of runs finally on Jacob deGrom?
I mean, wouldn't that be something? They've been chalk all week, haven't done much, and the day everyone jumps off, they go at it. But there's no way I'm going to go back to it. I do actually like Devers as a one-off, who's going to be very low owned, make your lineup unique, but I'm not going to target them very much. DeGrom's a great pitcher. They've been ice cold, so not a spot I'm going to jump in on. And then for the Mets, I'll let you guys mainly take over the Mets. You guys like them more than I do. I do like this lineup. They did do it right. I like Conforto a lot, but I'm going to let you guys talk about the Mets since you guys have a good take on them.
All right, JT, talk to me about this Mets side. I believe that's the side you're going to have the most interest in. So dive in. What do you think of the Mets today?
Yeah, it's just this lineup for me. This lineup with I think it's 6 lefties, at least 5 pretty good lefties. I don't know who. I think it's Jimenez is. I'm not sure. I don't know too much about him. But when I see a lineup like that with a guy who historically has had some issues with left-handed bats, and we're talking at the top of the lineup, 2 very good ones. I put Nimmo in the playbook. I thought he was a pretty good play on DraftKings. And McNeil right behind him. McNeil, they had hitting at the bottom of the order. Dominic Smith is a guy who was a highly touted prospect. He came up. He had some weight issues. He's fixed that a bit. And he's been doing pretty well. And so you've got 4 out of the first 5 that are really, really good lefty hitters, and then Alonso right in the middle. So if Eovaldi has any problems in the first inning, it could get really ugly. Like I said, I like a little bit, before this lineup came out, I liked a little bit of Eovaldi. I still may have 5%, but the Mets weren't a team that I was going to stack before this lineup came out. I was going to have Nimmo as a one-off, and I was going to have maybe some Alonso just because of that power upside with this Red Sox bullpen. Now that I see this lineup, I'm a little bit more interested. I'm definitely going to have some exposure to the Mets tonight.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. And I think, DraftKings, obviously the Mets aren't as interesting to me. But I think on FanDuel, I have a lot more interest. And I'm definitely considering making them more of a priority. You look at Nimmo, he's been crushing the ball to start. At least the exit velocities look good from the numbers I'm seeing now. Very small sample size, right? I like to obviously have probably 2 weeks of data, but that is just what we have right now. So Nimmo so far hitting the ball pretty decent. McNeil's another guy. He's just a solid all-around hitter and can help turn that lineup. Alonso, if you look at him, sure, he's a righty, right? You want the lefties against Eovaldi, but Eovaldi does have a WOBA problem against righties. And if you look, he throws the fastball. He throws about 40% of the time, and his WOBA WOBA and his, CX WOBA, the ISO, they're all over 400 against the four-seam fastball. So I really think this Met stack is quite intriguing. And it's a good, obviously a good ballpark opportunity too for them. So I do think all in all, I like the Mets. I think they're a team that in tournaments, cash games, even on FanDuel specifically, I think there's a little bit of value with like Nemo at 2.4K. But again, FanDuel, there's a ton of value all over the place. You might not need him. Just depends on how you're constructing your rosters. So that's about it for me on that game. I would say we should dive into the Rays and Braves game, but let me take a look at the chat real quick. We got 170 watch and we only got 82 likes. So Titletown, what's the number we're going to need here? What do you think we want to, make the people do here? 150, 125, 130. What's the number you're picking here for likes we got to give out the swag?
Let's go 130. Give him a little less than 150 we've been doing, but we definitely need a little more to give away some giveaway. I'm not as strict as Big T. He might give me some flack later for it, but 130 is a good number. But if we can't get 130, it's a no-go again.
Yeah, I'll say this: the last show, Big T, I don't know how he was with the swag. I think one of the shows, I don't know if he gave it away. I don't remember, but I remember Hoop. He kind of copped out, man. He's like, we didn't hit the number, but we're gonna give swag away anyways. I'm not doing that. Like, if we don't get the 130,
nope.
We're just signing off, and I'm not gonna beg too much more. I'll give one more time. I'll say it, and that's it. So we're at 95 right now. Got to get to 130. Let's dive in and talk about this next game. And I'm ahead to you, JT. Sure, there's some, weather to look at in this Rays and Braves game, but let's just ignore it. We're not weather people. Obviously, you can, check that out around the industry and just like do your own weather research. It's not hard to, type in weather.com and look at it yourself. We got Charlie Morton. We got Mike Soroka on the mound. And I don't know if there's too many bats I like in this game, JT, but maybe you have a better understanding and perspective on it.
Yeah, I keep wanting SunTrust, now Truist Park down here in Atlanta, which is actually where I am. I keep wanting it to be a hitter's park, and it just doesn't really pan out that way. And in this game, Soroka and Morton are both good pitchers. Soroka, I think, is going to be really, really good. And I don't love the pitchers just because it's a good hitting, you've got good hitting teams. You've got teams that should be in the playoffs. These are two of their better pitchers. And I just think that the upside for the pitchers is a little bit lower than their price point, and I think the upside for the hitters is a little bit lower than their price point as well. So I won't be looking for a one-off here, and I won't be stacking this game up, and I probably won't have any of the pitchers just because their prices seem right, if not just a little tad elevated comparative to what I think I can get for that same price point on the slate.
All right, Titletown, over to you. What are you doing with this game? How do you want to approach this one?
Yeah, I have no interest either sides. There's enough games on the slate, enough other spots that I like targeting. I'll be low on the pitchers, low on the hitters. I'll keep it short and sweet, and we can move on.
All righty, let's head on over to the next game. We got Yankees, we got Orioles, and Titletown, I'll throw it back to you because I know you are going to have a ton of exposure to this game. We got the Yankees in a perfect spot today. FanDuel, their prices are just stupid. What are you doing with this game?
Yeah, didn't like last game. Didn't spend time on it, but yeah, man, this game, I love the Yankees. Everything about them, with Cole to the batters, and starting on FanDuel, as you mentioned, they are just way too cheap. You can get anyone you want: Glaber, Stanton, Judge, Hicks, Sanchez. Those are my favorites. But yeah, DJ is way too cheap. Voit. I mean, pick whatever ones you want. They're going to be chalk, though. Know that. And in tournaments, if you have 150 max and you're only making 5 teams, I don't recommend stacking the Yankees because they're going to be very owned and you'd have to nail the right combination with them. So if you do like the Yankees, I'd recommend playing them more on Draftkings because they are more expensive. They are definitely going to still get ownership, but you have to at least prioritize them over there. Definitely love Stanton. He is completely locked in. I always like Judge, Torres. This lineup's just so good. So I like him on both sites. FanDuel, they're going to be very chalky, hard to avoid in cash games, but in tournaments, you can avoid them. And then on DraftKings, they're not going to come in as high, but just a great spot, and I'll be overweight on the Yankees for sure.
Yeah, man, it's tough, right? I know no one's going to play the Orioles, really. They're not really a team we're going to be targeting. Yeah, but like the Yankees, how do we break this down, JT? From a tournament perspective, I mean, how can you get different? If a lot of people are playing the Yankees on FanDuel, what are you going to do to make your team a little different?
Yeah, I think on FanDuel it's a little bit difficult because of the pricing. I do like, well, I think honestly the way you get different is you look at some of these lower owned teams and pair them with one of those lower owned teams, because you're going to want the same guys on the Yankees. It's going to be Judge, it's going to be Gleiber, it's probably going to be DJ and Stanton. You may want Hoyt or someone else instead of DJ. There's just so many guys in this lineup that are good in this matchup where we don't know how much Woj we're going to get. We're going to get maybe 2 innings, maybe 3, maybe a little more than that. And then you're going to get that Baltimore bullpen that is not very good at all. So on DraftKings, though, if you wanted to stack this team up, you're literally paying half your salary, right? So you're going to, with 7 out of 9 guys at 5K or higher, you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit more in other places if you wanted to stack them. And I don't know if I'll do a 5-man stack or many 5-man stacks on DraftKings, but a guy who I think people are going to gravitate to Stanton more than Judge. I kind of like Judge. He's been hitting the ball hard. He hasn't had the success yet this season that Stanton has. He's probably my favorite guy here. And then Gleyber Torres, first of all, is outstanding. But literally every time the Yankees play the Orioles announcers laugh because he just pounds whoever's pitching for them. And there's no science behind it. It's just his numbers against the Orioles are crazy. And he's so talented. So I like the Yankees. On DraftKings, you're going to have to think about the lineup to make it work. But there's so many cheap teams that I think you really can.
Yeah, maybe he has himself like a little lady in Baltimore that he's always hanging out with, gets him excited, on the workbench, and has good games. Maybe that's what the trick is. Titletown, give me, this is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna give from the 1 through 5 and the 6 to 9. We're each gonna give one batter that we think is our favorite Yankees bat. Titletown, give me one from the 1 through 5 and then one from the 6 through 9 that you like the most. Titletown?
Sorry, I was on mute. Just noticed that. That was my first mistake in a couple shows. Give me some leeway, but
rookie mistake happens sometimes.
Rookie mistake. Sorry, Stanton will be my favorite 1 through 5. He's just been completely on fire, just crushing the ball. I don't think they're gonna. I think he's homering for sure. He's the easy lock home run pick, and then 6 through 9, I'll give you. I like Luke Voit, and I don't think he's going to be owned. That's a tournament one. He has a lot of power too. I shouldn't say he's not going to be owned, but I think he'll be one of the less Yankees, especially on FanDuel because they're all priced so little. So I'm going to go Luke Voit for 6 through 9.
Well, Titletown, you made your second rookie mistake on the show. There's no Luke Voit in the lineup. So at least from my understanding,
it shows that he was. I saw 6. Am I looking at the wrong thing?
I don't know. What do you got, JT? Survey says over here it's no Luke Voit.
No, I see no Luke Voit either.
I was looking at something that wasn't updated. I'm sorry. Gary Sanchez. I'm sorry about that. Ford 6. Gary Sanchez in the 7th spot. I was looking at the wrong spot or the wrong lineup.
All right. Fair enough. JT, what about you? 1 through Yankee bat and 6 through 9.
Yeah, 1 through 5. I said earlier, my guy tonight is Judge. I'm going to have some pretty good exposure to Judge. 6 through 9. I mean, there's 2 guys there that I don't think on FanDuel maybe, and even on DraftKings they're both pretty priced up. At least Urshela is. I don't think anyone's going to play Gio because if you're playing a third baseman, you're going to play the leadoff DJ. Urshela is a guy who, again, very talented guy, and I think people are going to forget about him. And then Mike Ford. The corpulent Mike Ford, he's a pretty big dude, but man, he just mashes home runs. So he's a guy who's interesting.
Yeah, listen, I'm definitely considering the Mike Ford thing. I'd say my guys are probably, it's either Judge or Torres, but I'll probably just lean to Judge. And then I'd probably say Ford as well. Getting that lefty in that spot, I think he's a pretty good play. We got people in the chat saying Big T would really get on Titletown right now, if he was here, and he probably would. Listen, I'll say this, Titletown, they're also saying in the chat, like, that's 2 strikes. If you get another one here, man, we might have to bench you, right? Like a basketball coach, I'm looking at him. If I throw you the ball and you just shoot an air ball here from 3, like, we might have to bench you here for a second.
There's been too many winners given out to bench me. A couple straight. That was a bad lapse right there. I'll forget about it. Wrong lineup, mute. 2 strikes. So if I get one more on the show, yeah, you guys can kick me. That's understandable. Big T would give me a hard time. Probably will. But, hey, you live and you learn.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely we'll have to see. Listen, I think that's it for this game. Let's go on to the next one. We got the Cardinals, we got the Twins, and we got Rich Hill on the mound, which the Cardinals, again, they have a really nice righty-heavy lineup. So, and Rich Hill's not really a guy you target. So let's go to you first, JT. In tournaments, are the Cardinals stack interesting, or are you just firing back with the Twins once again?
Yeah, I think the price on the Cardinals makes them interesting a little bit. The other thing is this is Hill's first start in a real game since coming off of off-season elbow surgery, threw in a couple of intra-squad games. He's a good pitcher. He's a talented pitcher, but not talented enough to make me stay away from guys like Goldschmidt, DeYoung, or even at the top of that lineup with Tommy Edman has a pretty good projection tonight. Yadier is a little bit better against right-handed pitchers, but I do think this lineup is cheap enough that you can certainly pair them with the Yankees if you're going to go the Cole Heaney route, or even if you're going to go the DeGrom Heaney route. So I've got some interest in the Cardinals. I have more interest in the Twins, certainly. You've got a spot starter for Miles Mikolas tonight. You've got Ponce, and then that bullpen took some hits with guys opting out. So they're short on pitching, and Minnesota's offense just looks dominant thus far. So definitely more interest on the Minnesota side, but I will have some Cardinal stacks.
Yeah, listen, I totally agree. I think both sides are going to be good. What about you, Titletown? How are you approaching this?
Yeah, I don't have much interest on St. Louis because I like Rich Hill a little bit, so I won't even mention them. And I do like Minnesota. As JT was saying, this is a lineup that just smashes them. Going to target them a lot this year. Cruz, Polanco, Rosario, Sano, Donaldson, they all have power. Arez batting in the one hole. So I would rank them. Donaldson's just way too cheap. He's my favorite. I rarely leave Cruz out in my Minnesota stack. So I'll say Donaldson, Cruz, and Rosario are my 3 favorites there. I won't go crazy because I do like the Yankees and other spots a lot, but I'm going to get Twins on most slates just because their lineup is so good and they can smash at any time.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Definitely have to look at, that Twins lineup. Can't ignore them every single day. We have 2 more games left, and we got Andy Human. He is in the chat, and you know what he's saying? He's saying hit the like button. So have to shout it out for him. We're at 103, and we need 130. And there's 171 of you. And listen, we made it a tough mark, but that's the number it's got to be. We're not going to hand it out. So you got to if we hit the 130, we'll be giving out some free swag. I'll send it over to Big T, and I'm sure he'll send it out at some point shortly. But we got to get to 130. That is the number. Let's dive in. Let's talk about these last 2 games. And we got the Padres, we got the Giants, and definitely not one that we're super excited about, I would say. JT, I know Chris Paddock was high up on your playbook today. Definitely someone that you are, looking at and considering. What do you want to do here with, these bats?
Yeah, on the San Francisco side, I'm mostly off of them completely. Yaz at the top is a guy that I would look at as a one-off, just a very talented guy that I would consider playing on any given night, no matter what the matchup is. So if you wanted a one-off, he's pretty cheap. On the San Diego side, I think there's a bunch of guys. I think you can, Trent Grisham at the top, obviously Tatis. I like Hosmer tonight. Will Myers hit a home run last night. Looks like he might be playing a little bit better this year. So they're not in my top 3 stacks, but certainly in my top 6 or 7 is San Diego. That San Francisco is clearly rebuilding. They have a clueless manager who is going to do silly things to switch up matchups for one at bat, and he's going to do it all game long. And we saw the Padres take advantage of it last night. We saw the Dodgers take advantage of it last weekend. And I don't think tonight's going to be any different. So I'm going to have some exposure to the Pods.
Yeah, listen, I think that makes a ton of sense there. Tatis, definitely a guy I think you got to look at as like maybe an interesting one-off option. I think that's how I'd be approaching this game. Maybe not stacking it up too much. What about you, Titletown? What are you doing with this game?
Yeah, so I like the Padres a little bit. I'm off San Fran. The guys on the Run Pure Sports bets, one of the guys had San Diego Padres first 5 innings bet. Go check it out over there. I follow those guys a lot, tail their plays, very good handicappers, know what they're doing. So I always like looking over there to see what teams they're on as well. And they were on the Padres. And I also made a bet -1.5 Padres for the whole game, even before that. So I've been on the Padres, like them even more now that the other guys like them. And I love Tatis up top. Don't think Padres are going to come in too high owned. This is a spot that I would like, one of my favorite tournament spots, because they're not going to get ownership. And I do think they mash Cueto. So Tatis, Grissom, Machado, Pham, Hosmer, those are my favorite, the top 5. And I don't think you have to worry about ownership. So give me all the Padres in tournaments who are going to be very low owned.
Yeah, and speaking of the Run Pure Bets guys, like I said before, Big T, he put a bet in before, and I can't remember, he did 3 bets, but one of them I'm looking at right now, and I actually placed the bet myself. It was one that I was looking at, and I was actually going to add to the sheet, but then I was like, Big T beat me to it. He had the under on Madison Bumgarner strikeouts at 6.5, and Madison Bumgarner right now, he's at 85 pitches with 4 strikeouts, and he's got 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. So I mean, that's looking like it's pretty good. I mean, the odds of that hitting are pretty nice right now. So looks like I'm going to take home some cheese. Looks like Big T's going to take home some cheese, and there's still more time to get in on the bets. So go check that out over on Run Pure Bets. Click on the daily picks, and you can find out which ones the guys are on. Let's go over to the next game. We got the Seattle Mariners. We got the Los Angeles Angels. And JT, talk to us about this Angels. They're your backdrop right now. I don't know if it's because you're an Angels fan. You're also wearing an Atlanta shirt, so you're throwing me off here. Maybe you got the Angels background because the Angels are your stack of the night. Talk to me here. What are you doing with this Angels side?
Yeah, the Angels are in my top 3. This Seattle team is again, another team that's rebuilding. They're starting a guy that's a fairly heavily touted prospect, but again, we don't know how many innings he's going to go. And this Angels team against this bullpen, I think it's just another good spot for them. It's a team that I actually missed last night. It's just I looked at it and I said, well, I don't love it. But you've got to realize how bad this Mariners bullpen is. And so Ohtani is probably my top guy tonight. I like Estella quite a bit. Fletcher at the top of the lineup. Trout is up to 6.2. So, I probably like Judge a little bit more than Trout, but definitely in those Angels stacks, I'll have Trout. I like Heaney. Talked about Heaney quite a bit. I think this is a really good matchup for him. I think this is a matchup for him to, get a little bit of length, go a little bit longer. And I don't see myself playing a single Seattle bat tonight.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to go out on a limb. Seattle bats do not take down GPPs today. Hot take here. Titletown, how about you? What are you doing with this game? Because, man, I think the Angels, they're definitely quite intriguing. We were talking pre-show. FanDuel, they got some decent price tags as well.
Yeah, first of all, what a hot take that is. Watch you be wrong somehow, and that would be quite something. But I'll have no Seattle bats either. I just don't see it. And then going to the Angels, I like the Angels. I don't think they're going to be too popular because all the late games out west, you see reduced ownership on them. People just don't like to play them. So I like the Angels. I like Ohtani, La Stella, Rendon, Trout, the guys you mentioned. This isn't a lineup where I feel too comfortable with stacking the bottom of the order usually. The heart of the order is where they produce runs. So I like the Padres more because I think they're going to be lower owned. So I won't have too much Angels, but I definitely will get some because it's a very good lineup against a brutal Seattle team, and a brutal Seattle bullpen will be targeting all year. So I like it.
Yep, definitely think we're going to want to target that. Let's move on to, just like our top 3 favorite stacks. I know we just kind of went through them all, but give me your 3 favorite stacks, JT. Go.
Yeah, I'll start with the Angels. I think they're in the top 3. The Yankees I put last on the playbook just because of price, and I'll stick in the top 3 with Minnesota and Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City's prices are they're just too cheap, and if they can get to Boyd and they can get a couple of homers tonight, they're all going to, those guys that do that are going to make value, and then you'll get some of that Detroit bullpen, and those are 3 that I like.
Yeah, definitely think that makes sense there. JT, you mentioned the playbook, right? You got those Yankees, towards the bottom, but overall, we're not giving out all the playbook plays here on the show. I know I saw some people, asking about that, but JT, tell the people a little bit about the playbook. I know you discussed it the other day, but if anyone's in here and doesn't know what the playbook is, what is it kind of all about?
Yeah, the playbook is a condensed version of the slate in terms of how we're looking at it. And, usually one of us puts it together, takes some input from some of the other guys in here, and gives you, I think tonight we've got 5 or 6 pitchers on there. We've got 5 or 6 stacks that you can choose from. And then 4 to 5 plays at each different position, a couple more in the outfield, and a little bit about the strategy of what we think the slate is going to play out like. So it gives you some pitcher pairing. We talked a little bit about, Cole Heaney, and then some of the teams and what we can do with some of the teams and put them together in your lineups.
Yeah, we also have the core play section, which you got my cash game plays today, Big T single entry. You got Uncle T's main GVP and JSU's main GVP, along with my cash game construction thoughts, which I'll be updating after the show, and JSU's tournament construction thoughts as well. Titletown, give me your 3 favorite stacks.
So I'll go Yankees 1, definitely my favorite. I know they're expensive on Draftkings, but I just think they smash. So they're number 1. Then on FanDuel, I'll have Detroit 2, and on Draftkings, I'll have the Royals 2 due to pricing. Then my third favorite, my leverage low owned, I'll go with the Padres. I think they really surprise late night hammer and can take down some GPPs.
Yep, I agree with you. I like the Yankees. They're probably my favorite stack. Another one that I like is, the Angels. I think the Angels played them yesterday, or I wanted to play them yesterday. I only played one lineup. That's the problem. I need to be playing more GPPs. I would have played them. I wrote them in my tier section. I wrote them as my pivot stack. If you haven't seen the tier section, that's something we added. We give basically our favorite guys at each position overall, and then we give kind of like our leverage pivots that you'd want to go to in that range. So, that was my pick yesterday. Hopefully someone followed. I know someone in the Discord chat asked me, they said, hey, I'm thinking of stacking the Astros against Bueller, and I just said, hey, play the Angels instead. And I'm sure that went pretty well if he ended up doing that. But, I'd say the Angels are my 2, and then third, I'll probably end up siding with the Tigers. Like I like the Mets, but I think I like the Mets more as like one-offs. The more I think about it, I think like taking guys here and there, maybe not the full 4-man or 5-man stack, but taking maybe even a 3-man on DK isn't bad with those lefties there. Let's go to some home run calls. And again, we don't got too much more time left. We got 20 likes we need, guys. So 110, we need 20 likes or we're not giving away swag. So you got to do it in the time that we're doing the home run calls. So Titletown, give me your home run calls for the slate.
So the lock, I'll say Stanton. That's the easy chalk one. But I'll give you a couple. I'll give you 2 lower ones that I like using. I'll go Tatis. I think Tatis hits one all over the Padres. And then I'll give you Donaldson. I think Donaldson's going to be pretty low owned. He just has massive power. He's been hitting the ball well. So I think Donaldson, Tatis, and Stanton are my 3.
Yeah, listen, because I'm the host, I can do this. JT, I'm going to go before you because I'm worried you're going to steal a couple of my guys, and I don't want to be on the fly trying to figure it out. So
that's dirty.
This is my ship. I'm the captain now, JT. So I'm going to go with Aaron Judge as my guy. I think he definitely. I knew you were going to take him. And I don't know if you're taking this one, but I like Brandon Nimmo a lot. We talked about him pre-show. I think he's a lower owned guy that you can go to as a guy that can hit a home run. So he'll be one of my other ones. And you know who I'll throw in there? I'll throw in the old timer. It's been a while probably. I don't even know if he's hit one this year, but let's go with Miguel Cabrera. Listen, against lefties, he can get it done at times. And if the Tigers lineup's going off, he's got to find a way to get one out there maybe. So I'll go with Miguel Cabrera as another contrarian guy. So those are, 1 chalk guy and then 2 contrarian guys. JT, give me your home run guys.
Yeah, that was pretty painful because obviously Judge was my number 1 guy, but that's all right. I'll pivot. I'll go with Shohei Ohtani at the top end. I think he's got a good shot tonight. Mid-range, we'll go with Jorge Soler. And then, you know what? Grayson Griner's going to pop one out tonight.
Nice.
I knew it. The Griner call, which, listen, I'm here for it. If the Tiger stack goes off and listen, everyone says, they're going to be chalky. Grayson Griner won't be, right? That'll be your way to maybe be a bit different. And catcher is a terrible position, so why not? That's the spot that's great to be different at. One thing I've heard Big T say before, and I agree 100%, he's like, man, when you're like, first of all, when the catcher is chalky, normally it's like not the greatest play anyways. And on top of that, when your cheap catcher goes for a home run that's low owned, there's like nothing better than that. Like it's like the best feeling in the world, especially when that chalk guy doesn't do so well. But Listen, that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. We got to go update some of our stuff. I got to update my core plays. JT might make some changes to the playbook, so check that out as well. We're not giving swag away. 114. I mean, I can't do it. And again, like I said to JT before, this is my ship and I'm running it right now. So you got to do a little better next time. But we'll be back tomorrow. I believe we're doing we'll be back tonight too. They might give away some gear on that show. It's going to be a golf show tonight at 9. So stay tuned for that. That'll be absolutely awesome. I believe, don't quote me, I believe we're doing a 4-man booth. I think we're going to do Hoop AP, Big T, and JSU. So that'll be a lot of fun. Join back for that, guys. It's absolutely awesome. And I'm sure Big T will be giving away some swag. So head back for that. You guys have a chance to redeem yourself, chat. So redeem yourself tomorrow or tonight. And then tomorrow we'll be back for an MLB and NBA show. I believe we're doing a combined show. So we'll chat about all that.
Hey, before we go, Ryan says if Griner hits a bomb, we'll give away swag on the show tomorrow. What if he hits a bomb and he's in one of your lineups? We get to give away a couple of shirts?
Yeah, I say if he's in your lineups and hits a bomb, that might be something we could do. We'll say
check with management.
Yeah, I gotta check with management. I don't want everyone just putting Griner in line for free shirts. So this is what we'll do. I have an idea that I like the idea. So let's put let's say if you have Griner in your Tiger stack and he hits a bomb, right? He hits a bomb, you send it over to the Run Pure Sports Twitter account. Send it over there or to me or that's the one to send it to. And we'll pick like 1 or 2 people. Because listen, if Griner hits a bomb and 148 people do it, I mean, listen, Big T is going to be exhausted at FedEx. They will get to know him way too well. So, but I like the call. We'll take a couple, 1 or 2 of them, and we'll see what happens with Griner there. That'll be fun to sweat and fun to watch. But listen, we got to get out of here. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. For me, Mangone, for Titletown and JT, we're out of here.
See you.